Hello everyone, welcome to the Ensemble Classical Music Improvisation channel. I'm Robert. It has been quiet on the channel. I'm really sorry about this. It simply was too busy and I didn't have time and space to make extra videos. In this video I want to tell you about some of the wonderful things I've been doing, some soon-to-come videos and what's coming on Patreon in the coming period. I also have a new job as the recorder professor in Utrecht, and I'm hoping to bring a lot of improvisation to that as well, and I'll of course be reporting on that. On Patreon I will be publishing some teaching materials from the summer workshops, and soon there will also be a small video talking about my potpourri research at the conservatory. On YouTube I will be finishing up my Bach prelude series with filling in the chords, the Quiescenza, and some other ideas we can glean from Bach's own composition, and several examples of how this might sound in live improvisations, in ensemble solo, or in compositions, how you could take that maybe a step further. And there's a whole chapter on the Quiescenza, this, progression, let's say, and its typical melodies and example pieces in Gerdingen's seminal Music in the Galant style book. So on Patreon I wanted to discuss that chapter in some more detail and see how Gerdingen's book and the ideas within can inspire us in our improvisations. As for this summer, here is a little update. So first of all, I've taught a few courses this summer, and for some reason all of them seemed quite influential on my thinking about teaching improvisation, so I thought it might be interesting to talk about that here. I started off in early July with a course for young modern oboists, and we had a few lovely visitors, extra visitors as well, which was supposed to finish with a little presentation. And I didn't think much of it because with a total of about 3-4 hours of a workshop, you can't really get much of a presentation on its feet. So I was like, well, I'll present some little bits. But somehow we did have a lovely little concert of about maybe 20 minutes with some free improvisations based on reed sounds, paintings, interaction, minimal music. We also improvised on Pachelbel's Canon and the Battaglia della Love working on, and finally did a little variation set on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is part of my potpourri project, which you will be finding out more about in the coming months, as this is the research project at the Conservatory of the Eyck that I'm doing at the moment. It was very interesting to see how, maybe also now that I've done several of these workshops a few times and I've found some ways to kind of get people going in a simple way, people, they were kids and young students, could actually get quite far with these ideas. Maybe it also means that they're more busy with stuff like this, more open to it and more able to do it quickly and pick it up. So I thought that was really interesting, and also inspired me to try to use more of these kind of practical assignments which have an immediate musical outcome. Then I went to Basel and taught at my perhaps favorite summer course, MentiParti. I met some amazing young musicians, even from the age of 7, all of whom were able already to improvise wonderful things and compose in their own way and form. Some of them were astounding improvisers, composers and musicians already. And so it was just so inspiring to see how young these kids can be, and also how flowing they can be in their improvising. They're just going and trying, and sometimes something might not quite work out, but they'll find their way immediately back to the idea that is going on in their heads. And so this was very interesting for me as well. I also worked together with some amazing other teachers like Tabea Schwarz, Nicola Pignatiello, Tobias Krampeter-Vantour, Lydia Carlisi. It was very interesting to see all these different approaches. We this time took one theme or one type of, or one composer of Partimenti that was also really great. And it was also interesting to see how useful it was to write things down and basically get a sort of composition workshop with Lydia Carlisi, and how this helped people kind of solidify some of the ideas that we've been trying to teach them through improvisation. It was also interesting how that then interacted with the night sessions that I like to organize, the free jam sessions. And this time also with Nicolas, with the guitarists, and loads of people came, and we got many different types of music happening. Everybody felt free to kind of share their own influences, but also join in other people's ideas. But at the same time, we also did some partimenti type things and basses. So it was really interesting to see how all these things came together, and maybe more than before, some kind of amalgamation of all this information and ideas and strict workshops and freer things came to be, resulted in this creative proliferation, also to be seen in the end concerts where some of the students played. And on Patreon you can find a video version of a workshop that I did, where we take a solfeggio by Zingarelli, which is quite close to the way Bach's inventions work. And by improvising, we're reconstructing this solfeggio, and then from there on we can start improvising our own. So if you're interested in that, you can find that on our Paganini tier on Patreon. I also taught a course with Robijn Tilanus, and this was the first time that I taught a course all about improvisation, where it was just 2 teachers, and we were also with the students all the time, like eating, drinking, sleeping. Well, I mean, we all had our own rooms, but you know, it was really like a cauldron of creativity. And also I could see all of Robijn's fabulous lessons and vice versa. So we could also comment and assist in each other's classes, and you really could work on this sort of continuity. I also loved that we really set goals with the students, so I took that on to all my next courses. And I also loved the simplification of some of the approaches. There were all level students, some people already quite experienced with improvisation, some people really getting started. And the idea was to work on chord progressions. And one interesting example for me was where we were doing a ground, like a little chord progression, a repeating bass pattern, and learning how to join it even when you hadn't been told what progression it was. And some students found it quite difficult, also to relate to the pulse and the meter, the harmony, the thing. So we got them simply to play just one note when you've figured out where is the start of the chord progression, and to keep doing that a few times once you've found the right note that kind of fits. And I never used to do this before, but it really helps to anchor the student before getting on and trying another note, etc., etc. Well, I will talk more about this on Patreon. Then I have a whole plan of accompanying videos for one of the articles I've been very busy writing. This article will be published this year in the Historical Oboe book. And in the article I look at all the information an oboist could learn from 19th century sources for our instrument, some methods and etudes. The accompanying videos will elaborate on some examples and add some more examples, which are not in the text because, well, it was too big. And then I finished another article on improvising monothematic fantasias on wind instruments in the 19th century, based on Czerny's ideas and repertoire that used similar features. This was a super hard article to write, rewrote many sections, but I learned a lot from the help I got in the comments in the peer review, and so, yes, I also loved doing that in the end, and really learned a lot. Finally, there was the Apollo Summer Course, which I've been doing for quite a few years now. The recorder ensemble consisted of 15 people, and they played a potpourri I wrote on themes from Mozart's Nozze de Figaro. This was interesting also, again, to use that writing component in learning about my own process in dealing with potpourri in my research. And finally, I did several improvisation workshops within the summer course, working on, of course, the Passacaglia that I love working on, the Bergamasca, improvisation interaction just on one chord, and of course the potpourri. And in this case, they also really managed to make the bridge and to go to another piece and to do an improvised prelude on the theme of the first melody. So it was very interesting to see how that was possible, even with some of the amateur musicians. So on Patreon you can find yet another video about writing your own guidelines. These ones are applied specifically to the Bergamasca, but the point is to teach you to find those for any ground bass or ground you might find. And you will know, if you've watched our channel for a while, that I love guidelines as a departure point for more elaborate improvisations, for instance in our Pachelbel series or in the Tarantella series. This will all be in the Paganini tier, which still has lectures on 19th century improvisation and other things on it. I know I promised a monthly thing there, but from now on it will be there, so I hope you will rejoin for the people who left, and you will join now because it's just going to be so interesting. Finally, I'm also working on an online version of the Autoterra Preludes course, where you can just watch and download videos and leave some materials for me to check, etc., etc. And hopefully the first installment of that will be ready sometime this year as well. Of course, there will also be interviews, announcements, and little snippets of histories as I find them along the way. So, well, I hope to be on fire again pretty soon here. Do you have any other ideas for videos, questions, or burning desires? Do let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do about that.